radio where it has never gone before. New vistas, new voices, new views, new visions, new victories. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're taking public media black.
Wanted me, I wish I knew. I wish I knew you wanted me. I wish I knew. I wish I knew you wanted me. Ooh, what you do? Made a move, could've made a move. If I knew I'd be with you. Too late, too soon.
Welcome forward. You are checking out RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. It is hour 3, after hours. Andy getting us started off right, vibing. Me? Oh, bad habits. Oh, look, I'm lost. I'm not even I'm missing the connection. I'm usually more connected. I'm totally missing it. I forgot there was anything on my shirt. Bad habits. There we go. Like, I like the connection. And because it's the after hour, so definitely get into that, right? Well, let me get you lined up for what we're going to discuss in hour 3. We're going to talk about the Made in America Festival and that being canceled. We're going to talk about Beyonce's strange tour request. That is not that strange to me. I actually really, really feel her on this one. I'm telling you, I agree, B. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the theft ring that was busted in New York and tell you how they got busted. You know it was some stupidity, right? You know it's something simple, right? We're going to give you details on the brother of former NFL star Aqib Talib and what happened with this case that involved the shooting of a youth football coach. We're also going to talk about, listen, rich people splurge on a lot of things, right? Well, a new study says that the wealthiest individuals have now taken to splurging on this instead of these things. We'll get into all of that and more. But first up, let's talk about the Made in America Festival. Now, you know that was scheduled to happen in September. It was a female theme this time with SZA and Lizzo co-headlining it. Well, earlier today, the festival announced that this year's event has been canceled due to severe circumstances outside of the production's control. Made in America has been around since, I believe, 2012, right? And I think there was only one other time during the pandemic when they canceled the festivities. But their statement said, due to severe circumstances outside of production's control, the 2023 Made in America Festival will no longer be taking place. The decision has been difficult and has not been made lightly nor without immense deliberation. Made in America has a legacy of delivering exceptional experiences for music fans and concert goers. And it is our commitment to always deliver top-tier festival experiences. We look forward to returning to the Benjamin Franklin Parkway and the great city of Philadelphia in 2024. The city's mayor also spoke about the event canceling. He actually tweeted this out or X'd it out, whatever we're saying now. I'm still calling it Twitter. You know, old habits die hard. Or bad habits, depending upon. He said that he's disappointed to hear that the 2023 Made in America Festival will not be taking place. They're grateful to the partners and the festival goers who have contributed to the event over the years. And again, there's no single reason. We can sort of look to what's happening with Lizzo and think maybe that might possibly have something to do with it, but obviously we don't know for sure. The other acts that were scheduled to appear in the festival this year, besides Lizzo and SZA, were Ice Spice, Lotto, Coily Ray, Coco Jones, Lil Yachty, Metro Boomin, Mason Cameron. So sad that that's not going to go off, but I'm sure that some of those performers will be at other venues, hopefully in the Philly area, so that you can take in and enjoy the performances from those people. So shout out to Hove, Jay, Jigga for always keeping things tight, or maybe you don't agree with Hove. I don't know. There's been a lot of conversation about that. We'll get to that another day because I think it's an interesting one we should discuss. Anyway, speaking of the Carters, Beyonce has an interesting tour demand, and it's been the conversation over these past couple of weeks, and I have to be honest with you. I am not mad at this at all. If I could afford to do it, I would incorporate it as well. So according to reports, the 32-time Grammy winner requests that she has, I think they said, 8,000 toilet seats that she takes with her on tour. And there are new toilet seats to be delivered to every stop on the current Renaissance tour to avoid using any toilet seat that had been previously utilized. So they started leaking, the reports of this started leaking after a photo of her backstage setup was released, and it had boxes basically labeled toilet seats, right? And a fan saw them close to the stage, and then someone went and investigated the matter and reportedly stated that she made the request so that she doesn't have to deal with strange toilet issues. And, you know, I'm not mad at that. I personally do not like public bathrooms, so I can get with that. As an adult, you have to adjust, but listen, if I could pay for that to happen, I would. You know, I don't know. Or I guess the cheaper approach is just don't go to the bathroom any place that is not your own. But of course you can't help that on the road. Anyway, that's a side note. I thought that was a funny little story, something that I related to. Maybe you do as well. Anyway, it's unclear whether or not the fresh toilet seat ask has been part of the tour since the beginning, or if it was only implemented for the U.S. portion of the show. We know that Beyonce started this tour back in May. We know that the Beyonce Renaissance Tour is a whole economic upstart on its own for every city, every area that it's gone in. And shout out to Beyonce. Over the weekend, there were thunderstorms that happened at her recent tour stop in Washington, D.C. And Beyonce not only came out on stage, put on her best wavy, wet-and-go wig. Don't be mad at me. We know Beyonce wears wigs, only high quality. This one was built to withstand the rain. And she also paid $100,000 so that the city's metro station could run after hours because of the inclement weather and what was happening with her concert, to make sure that concert goers could get home safely if they utilized public transportation. So, you know, Beyonce always holding it down for the fans in a quiet way. And so I think that that is deserving of having a new toilet seat anytime you want it. When we come forward, we will have more trending topics and headlines. We'll talk about the New York City car theft ring that was busted. We'll talk about how they got busted. We will get into what the new thing is that wealthy people are splurging on now, and how it impacts or could impact you. And we'll also discuss what's going on with Aqib Talib's brother and what he was sentenced to for the shooting of a youth football coach that took place last summer. All that and more. You are locked into KBLA Talk 1580, RSVP with Jill Munroe.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
On a Mission Youth Travel presents the 2023 Morehouse Homecoming HBCU College Tour, October 25th through October 29th in Atlanta, Georgia. Open to high school students grades 9 through 12. For more information, please call 323-298-4779. Again, 323-298-4779. Students will tour Morehouse College, Spelman College, Clark Atlanta University, Alabama State, and Tuskegee University. Email info@onamission.org onamissionyouthtravel.com. Again, info at onamissionyouthtravel.com. The HBCU tour price includes all meals, transportation, round-trip airfare with one checked bag, hotel accommodation, all museums, college tours, and admission to the Morehouse versus Kentucky State University homecoming football game. Spaces are filling up quickly, so call today to sign up. 323-298-4779. Again, 323-298-1480.
Are you worried about your credit score? Well, look, you can rebuild it. There are lots of factors that go into determining your credit score, but one of the most effective ways to improve your score is to consistently pay your bills on time, over time. If you're forgetful about payments, like me, try automating your bill payments. That way all your creditors get paid on time, and you'll have freed yourself of trying to remember. Whatever your financial goals, U.S. Bank Access Commitment Initiatives can help support you in reaching them. Access your financial goals at usbank.com/access. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time-to-talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you and the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So, I know we haven't discussed it tonight, at least not on my show. So, really quickly, want to mention that Tory Lanez was sentenced today. He was given 10 years in state prison for shooting Megan Thee Stallion. We know after an argument that took place in the Hollywood Hills a few years back when they were leaving Kylie Jenner's house. He was convicted of assault with a firearm, illegal possession of a firearm, and negligent discharge of a gun. So part of the reason why Tory received such a severe sentence, actually the judge indicated that it really kind of had to do with Tory on his own. The way that he went about antagonizing Megan, leaking information. It was mentioned that Tory or his team allegedly leaked a document to Academics, who is a popular Twitch streamer. I don't know if you would consider Academics a blogger. I'm not really sure what you would call him, but he's in the hip-hop industry, controversial figure, and he had a lot of opinions on the Megan situation. So some are indicating that there should be some type of legal ramifications that should come his way as well. He put out a message on social media basically saying, screw you and your opinion. He's allowed to say whatever he wants to say. He never revealed the source of the document or the information, as is a journalist's right. So, we'll see what develops with that. We did find out that there were statements on both sides. Megan had a statement that the judge heard. There were also some 70 statements, character witnesses, that were entered into the record for Tory. One included Iggy Azalea, and another one was actually even the doctor that did his hair implants, plus some of the guards that were where he was located. But Megan had this to say. Since I was viciously shot by the defendant, I have not experienced a single day of peace. Slowly but surely, I'm healing and coming back. I will never be the same. So we know that there's a lot of opinions about this case. I think one of the things that doesn't get included when you're having the discussion about this case, as far as right and wrong and things of that nature, is it really showed a lot about our judicial system and how these things can play out and how the truth can sometimes be subjective or turned, how not including the full story can impact your case, how not listening to the directions that the court gives you can impact your case, and just in general, how our justice system can turn and weave back and forth. There's been conversation on whether Megan was a good friend, if how she was acting instigated any of the things that happened. We can have that conversation later, or you've seen that conversation go 9 million different ways with enough people so that you have already formed your opinion. I think that at the end of the day, were there things that she could have done differently? Absolutely. Were there better choices that Tory could have made as a man? 100. Does he deserve jail time? He does. Does he deserve 10 years? I don't know. We'll have to see what the developments are with that. Iggy Azalea was not pleased that her character statement was made known to everyone. As far as she knew, only the judge would be reading it. It is common practice for people to submit character witness statements to the court. But I guess maybe she was a little embarrassed in supporting him, considering everything that came out. But the thing to also consider is that good, bad, or indifferent, no matter how you feel about it, she might have known another side of him. And we are allowed to present those people to the court. We're allowed to give that information when it plays into sentencing. I don't think that it helped him in this case, but, we're allowed to do that. We're allowed to have character witnesses. And we know that every side of our individual person is not what is shown to everyone. I don't have a dog in this fight per se. I do think that, obviously, why are you shooting at someone? Why are you pointing a gun at someone over this? Regardless as to if alcohol infused this, you know what you're doing when you pull out a gun. You know what the repercussions are. You know where it can go. So, good luck to him. And beyond that, the bigger thing is Tory could have took a plea deal when all of this started and definitely wouldn't have gotten this much time. But this is where we are. Pretty Brown Mimi says, once you shoot someone and admit it in court, get convicted, he got 10 years, it is what it is. Terry says, the man that shot her is trash and a scumbag. I wish he would have gotten more time. I feel you on that. I mean, the circumstances are tragic, and no matter what was happening, no matter how he felt, maybe his manhood was questioned or whatever, I can't think of a good reason for him to pull out that gun. So that is where we're at with that. Feel free if you have comments or thoughts you want to share. 800-920-1580. You can also leave them in the chat. But if not, we're moving on. So I mentioned earlier that rich people are splurging on different things right now. According to a report, it says the wealthiest people in the U.S. are so wealthy that approximately 30% of all the national wealth belongs to just 1% of the population. And we have heard over and over again that for a lot of people, the pandemic was a boom for rich people. It created a new billionaire every 30 hours. Real estate values skyrocketed across the country. And though it dipped down initially with the pandemic, the S&P, the stock market, is up about 61% over the past year. So they're increasing their bottom line. They're adding to their asset values, right? But here's the thing. The average 30-year fixed mortgage is, 7.9% interest rate, right? And for many everyday consumers and would-be home buyers, that's pricing them out of the mix with that, right? So, of course, economists have been trying to forecast and figure out when the rich session, as they're dubbing it, will face a downturn or how it will change and move, being that there's so many factors that are impacting both the regular people, the regular folks, and these uber wealthy individuals, or at least, higher salaried individuals, because there have been a lot of things that are changing. There's been a lot of layoffs, and this time around the layoffs were affecting more white-collar jobs than they were blue-collar jobs, But in spite of all that, home values, real estate, still getting bigger, the bottom line is improving, period. So according to Moody's chief economic specialist, Mark Zandi, he said that the wealthy people are, though, changing how they're spending money. They aren't spending less. They're spending probably more, actually, but they're spending it on different things. And in all actuality, they're not really spending it on things as much anymore. They're not buying as many Rolexes, designer goods, diamonds. They're not even springing for a bunch of new cars, which the price of new cars has gone up because of inflation and so forth. What wealthy people are now dedicating their finances to, their discretionary income, they're buying access to services and memories. So an experience. There's a shift as far as their preferences and what they want to do with the money. They're going out and doing things that involve a whole holistic approach, So, your friends that get their money together and go to the DR for a week for a jazz festival or whatever, well, the wealthy are doing that, but think of that times 10, Instead of buying diamonds, they're paying $2,000 to go see Beyonce or Taylor Swift. We mentioned the Swifties taking over Inglewood this weekend. We know Beyonce's coming in September. So they're paying for those type of experiences where it's a whole thing. We've seen the elaborate outfits that are coming out for Beyonce's show. We know what those ticket prices are. And those are the type of experiences and items that are seeing a change as far as spending habits. There's also a shift as far as luxury vacations. Luxury vacation bookings are up 34% over the past months, and that includes things like Arctic expeditions, private tours of exclusive areas, priceless artifacts being viewed, destinations, private enclaves, etc. So, I guess that new Rolex, that new car that you were eyeing, maybe not. Maybe it is just a fire vacation with friends and, you pay somebody famous to perform. We'll have to see. Depends on what your discretionary income is, but that is a shift. So look for more of that and look for more services and products being dedicated to giving people a whole experience to go along with a singular product. Terry mentioned in the chat, I like dogs and cats more than Corey. Who's Corey? What are we talking about there? I don't know. We'll circle back to that. Shout out to you, Terry. I might have missed it in whatever the conversation was, but I want to know from you, Andy. I'll ask you, are you the type of person that prefers things, or would you rather spend your money on an experience? Experience?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, because I know some people say like, oh, yeah, I can take those memories, but there's nothing tangible. It's nothing that I can, pass along. Does that matter to you? Do you balance it out or just?
No, it doesn't matter. When it comes to things, it's not really too many things that I would necessarily want other than, maybe some clothes, but I'm not like a crazy clothes guy. I'm not a sneakerhead or anything of that nature. I'm not big on jewelry. That's not to say I wouldn't wear any of those type of stuff, but, I would rather, spend money on an experience because, although it's not tangible, a memory is something that can't be taken away.
Right.
So that's where I'm at with it.
All right. Well, shout out to that. I agree. But there are some tangible things that I like. But, we can add those to the mix. Maybe they can be along the way and a part of the experience. I can see that happening really well. So, excuse me. I mentioned that there was a New York City auto theft ring crew that got busted. They had taken in about $3 million worth of merchandise. And, you know, listen, how do you think that they got busted? Let's just take a guess. You already know. You already know what it is, and you're already calling them stupid. Of course they got busted because of social media. They were flashing money and the stolen vehicles all over social media. But not just flashing it. There were 6 members of this crew. They were caught targeting dealerships. They also would target cell phone stores and ATM businesses, right? So they pled guilty last week to more than 200 thefts. All 6 of them were sent to prison. In total, they stole like $3 million worth of goods, including at least 54 vehicles. But here's the thing. Not only were they flashing it on social media, it was purposely done and done to antagonize the police. They basically would get online, flaunting the cars and the flash because they knew investigators were watching them. So it was Bronx residents, that's where they were from. They would not only, when they would steal the cars, again, they obviously watched a lot of film and TV because it seems like that's where they got the inspiration for the setup of their crimes. They would smash the windows of car dealerships at night and then drive the cars through the broken glass out of the dealerships. And then in some instances, they would wait till they heard the cop cars come to then take off through residential neighborhoods like they were in the Fast and the Furious something to get the high-speed chase situation going on. So they, you know, kind of were looking to get caught. They kind of wanted that. Well, maybe they didn't think that they would get caught, but at the very least they were trying to get the notoriety. So the investigation was 13 months. It was led by NYPD's Auto Crime Unit and the organized task force. They dubbed it Operation Redline. So the age range of these individuals, because all of the crime spree took place in Long Island, New Jersey, and Connecticut, the ages were 27, 26, 29, 28. All of those individuals pled guilty to second-degree grand larceny. There was a 23-year-old who pled guilty to third-degree burglary, and a 47-year-old who pled guilty to attempted third-degree burglary. Apparently, the crime levels as far as petty theft, car burglary, etc., are on the rise in New York, and they've hit their highest levels since 2006. And once again, what do you believe the spark of that is? Of course it's social media. TikTok trends, which basically, you know, showed teens how to steal Kias and Hyundais, basically any model that doesn't require a key fob. So they're up 97% grand larceny auto thefts were over the past 28 days compared to this time last year. So I just want criminals, stop showing your work. That's all. You want to be a master criminal, the way that you do that is to not get caught and to just do your thing. Not that I'm advocating crime or anything like that. I just would like less stupid criminals, you know? Probably helpful for us, right? When we come forward, we'll have more on the story of Akib Talib's brother and what happened with that case. More trending topics and headlines. You are checking out RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
When I bite your tongue like my back habit, would you mind if I tried to make a pass at it? No, you're not too good for me, my dear. Only you come back to me, my dear.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Police in Montgomery, Alabama say one person has turned themselves in and 2 others are expected to surrender in connection to a brawl at a river dock. Video of the fight that happened Saturday went viral on social media. It showed the black co-captain of a riverboat being attacked by a group of white men after police say he had asked them to move their boat from a reserve space. Many Los Angeles city services were impacted by a one-day strike today, as many as 11,000 city employees protested protested over what they call the city's refusal to bargain in good faith. According to a new study, an obesity drug called Wegovy could cut the risk of cardiovascular emergencies like heart attack and stroke by 20%. If the study holds up, it could be compelling enough to get insurance companies to provide coverage for the medication that costs $1,300 for a month's supply. And that is the latest. I'm Doug Davis from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Need an accident attorney by your side? All you got to do is call the accident guys.
Injured in a car accident or at work? Call the accident guys. Because unlike other firms, an attorney will negotiate your case, not a paralegal.
Boldly go where no man has gone before.
Boldly taking talk radio where it has never gone before. New vistas. New victories. We're KBLA Talk 1580. And we're taking public media black. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for voting rights. When We All Vote is a leading national nonpartisan initiative on a mission to change the culture around voting and to increase participation in each and every election by helping to close the race and age gap. Created by Michelle Obama, When We All Vote brings together individuals, institutions, brands, and organizations to register new voters across the country and advance civic education for the entire family and voters of every age to build and inform and engage electorate for today and generations to come. When We All Vote empowers their supporters and volunteers to take action through voting, advocating for their rights, and holding their elected officials accountable. Please visit whenweallvote.org to stand up for your rights, voting rights. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Roll Charmin ultra strong when you drop in the beat. It cleans way less effort on your seat. Yeah, roll it, drop it, yeah, roll it, drop it. Charmin flows extra strong from the road. Your butt hella clean while you're sitting on the bowl. Yeah, it's all you need for that bathroom groove. Get you in and out without nothing to prove.
Charmin Ultra Strong cleans better so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you and the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Wake up, people. You are optimizing every waking hour of your life. From carpooling kids, to work, to friends, and everything in between. You have to get sleep. And a bed that can perform as well as you do. Meet the next generation Sleep Number Smart Bed. It effortlessly adjusts to your shape, position, and movement. Learning how you sleep, so you learn to sleep better. Night after night. Sleep next level. Only from Sleep Number.
It's the biggest sale of the year. Save 50% on the Sleep Number Limited Edition Smart Bed. Plus special financing ends Monday. See store for details.
When I can't sleep, my mind just races. I think about work, the kids, but I don't think about taking melatonin because I'm afraid I'll feel groggy in the morning.
ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies has an optimal dose of melatonin for no next-day grogginess, so you can fall asleep naturally and wake up feeling refreshed. ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies for better sleep like never before. And try Pure Z Sleep plus Next Day Energy with melatonin plus extended-release B vitamins.
KBLA Talk 1580 stands for Unity and Healing. African Focus Incorporated is a nonprofit organization based in California that focuses on the growth and well-being of Africans all around the world. Their mission is to promote the well-being of people of African descent through knowledge and appreciation of one another by building a bridge of love and understanding. African Focus Incorporated strives for cultural, educational, and economic growth. They're the organization behind the African Family Induction Ceremony, African Goodwill Awards, African Focus Trailblazer Tours, African Dance Competition, and Showcase Los Angeles, Family Day, Good News Windows Microfinance Project, and more. To volunteer, travel with African Focus, or to attend one of their community building events, please call 310-676-7730. That's 310-676-7300. Or visit AfricanFocus.org. This is a diaspora-wide community call to action 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Link 69. I told you can't mess with me, Andy. Shout out to me, VIPs. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. I used to bang that song out. That was my jam. Shout out to Link. I wonder what happened to Link. I wonder where he is. I guess he would be what we would call a one-hit wonder. Was that song on a soundtrack or something? Or it was just a single? Okay, well, it was banging when it came out. I feel like 90s, right? Something like that.
Guess the year.
Okay, let me think. I remember that the album cover, I feel like there was some velvet, some reddish, greenish colorway or something like that. I feel like that look has to be like a 98, 99. That seems kind of late, though. Okay, what does that mean? Did I get it right?
You got it right, 98.
Okay. Look, I was serious when I said I got a pretty good music base. I'm pretty well versed.
You know, Jill, I'll have to give it to you. It's only Tuesday, but you've been so far so good this week.
I know that there was a couple times, like there was, I think, an Emile LaRue song that I jacked up, right? Did I just jack up her last name? I'm sure I did.
No, you had it right.
Okay, I had it right. Okay. I know I messed up one of her songs. I messed up. I didn't know an Ella Mai song, and I didn't know a Chloe Halle song.
Chloe Bailey.
Yeah. I don't know why I said Chloe Halle. I'm thinking of her. So I missed those three. But to be fair, two of the three are fairly recent, so, maybe I just missed them. I wasn't locked in.
The Ella Mai joint, yeah.
The Ella Mai joint wasn't that recent. I should have known that because I really like that album. I don't know. We'll see.
And Chloe Bailey is pretty...
Yeah, I mean, so, but not too bad, not too shabby.
The Neo record, too, you didn't know about.
I did miss the Neo record. I forgot about that. Okay. So, but not too bad, I you've thrown some 80s cuts in there, some deep cuts, some B-sides, and, we're going to keep track of this. We will keep you guys in the
boss man coming tomorrow, brother Trent?
Trent will be in the building tomorrow.
Because I remember I believe it was last Wednesday, Trent was
on it. Trent is on it. He will be in the building to see if you can stump one of us musically tomorrow. We'll be doing our Tubi reviews and so forth. We will also have a guest tomorrow, so that's exciting. Shout out to the chat because they're still lit. Ben Frank said, "Hey," so Link was. Is Ben Frank a guy or a girl? I'm unsure. I don't know. That could be a genderless name. So I'm just gonna say you were feeling that and you were turned up, and no shade, no tea. I just am unclear and do not want to, say the wrong thing. But I appreciate you. Shout out to you. Ben Frank also said that he loved the show. So, we always love to hear that. you could call in, but listen. We'll wait. Maybe a little shy. Okay, good, Ben Frank, you're a brother. I just want to make sure. I don't want to be disrespectful. I do not want to, because I've been surprised by some people in the chat every now and again based on their screen names, not because of any behavior or anything. So I just like to ask.
It's 2023. We do have to be careful. I just want to testify. A good friend of mine a couple years ago, whatnot, he does security or whatnot. He got called to, observe and report the situation, and it just so happened to be that one of his colleagues, which, if you know anything about security, sometimes, you could work for the same company, but not necessarily know everybody that you work with or whatnot. So his coworker, as he's talking and trying to figure out what's going on, referred to the woman as a her. And she was very upset about that.
Yeah.
She was like, yo, you don't even know who I am. How are you going to call me her? And I was just like, come on now. Like, she went to HR and had him removed from the post. He didn't get fired, but, he got placed to another situation. But it was just messed up. But, yeah, you do have to be careful in 2023. You just don't know.
Right. So, respectfully, I don't want the smoke. I'm just trying to be clear. So, appreciate you. Ben Frank says, I'm a brother, no surprises. Well, shout out to you. Hugs, and all of that. So, I mentioned Aqib Talib and his brother. A situation happened last summer where they were at a youth football game. Things got heated, and a gun was pulled out, and a coach by the name of Michael Hickman was shot. He was rushed to the hospital where he was later pronounced dead. This incident did happen in front of several youth. I mentioned it was last summer. So his name is Aqib Talib. He was sentenced to 37 years in prison behind what happened in a Dallas courtroom on Monday. He's 40 years old. He pled guilty after being indicted on a murder charge, and the sentence was actually part of a plea bargain. So can you imagine what might have went down if he had actually gone to trial? Because that is what the plea agreement led to, 37 years. Aqib was reportedly in attendance. They took his brother into custody immediately. The event happened almost a year to the day ago, August 13th, 2022. As I said, Michael Hickman, 43 years old, was shot and killed amid a dispute between Talib and the two Talib brothers, actually. It centered around, a youth football game. An on-field argument happened between the men, and it erupted. They became upset reportedly over a penalty call that was made during a scrimmage. And once the officials decided to end the game, Aqib decided to confront Michael Hickman, who was the coach of the opposing team. So, allegedly, Aqib threw a punch at the rival coach, and Hickman was unarmed, backed away from the football player during the altercation, and his brother, I guess, trying to protect his younger brother, pulled out a gun and shot Hickman multiple times. There is a lawsuit that has been filed by the family, and we will have to see the outcome of that, but as far as the actual time, 37 years, so tragedy that happened, tragedy for both families in this case, and the children that were there to witness that happening. So that's not the only court case involving a murder and a famous person that we're going to discuss. The family of C. Murder's alleged murder victim has a problem with Kim Kardashian. I mentioned the other night that Kim is speaking out on C. Murder's behalf. There is a new law that has gone onto the books in Louisiana, and Kim is lobbying for C. Murder's trial to be relooked at under this law. And the victim's family feels that Kim is doing more harm than good. You know, C. Murder has been in prison for 2 decades now for allegedly beating and fatally shooting the fan Steve Thomas, who was 16 years old, at the Platinum nightclub in Louisiana. He was arrested January 19, 2002 for causing a disturbance, and he was indicted on February 28, 2002. According to reports, the victim's family, George Thomas, that's Stephen's brother, shared a statement that said, anytime a celebrity, it's getting a little late, publicly supports C. Murder's release, old wounds are reopened and they make it difficult to properly grieve for the young teen. Keep in mind that this incident happened 21 years ago. When we come forward, we'll get into a little more details surrounding that and more trending topics and headlines when we come forward. You were checking out RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminding you that we keep us safe. The Center for the Pacific Asian Family was founded to help address domestic violence and sexual assault in the Asian and the Pacific Islander communities. The Center for the Pacific Asian Family's mission is to build healthy and safe communities by addressing the root causes and consequences of family violence and violence against women. They are committed to meeting the specific cultural and language needs of the Asian and Pacific Islander women and their families. CPAF's vision is of an Asian and Pacific's healthy relationships and works in partnership with other communities to eradicate all forms of violence. To access services, volunteer, or for more info, visit nurturingchange.org. At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe everyone deserves to be safe. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay. Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SavedByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking. Now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SavedByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SavedByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about it, then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit NoTimeToWait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail. The ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way. Offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
Hey, you are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Andy Trent is listening to the show tonight, and so he said, you know, he will be here tomorrow night ready, locked in, with all of his commentary and music expertise on deck.
I'm going to go ahead and try to dig real deep. I don't know where I'm going to go with it. It could be R&B, it could be hip-hop, it could be funk, It could be pop. I don't know. I'm digging in the crates, so I want to see like a little mini battle between you and Trent. So
All
who
right.
gets most of the songs right?
So that means that you guys got to be locked in for tomorrow night's show on RSVP because, we're going to have our own little version of Battle of the Bands, but it's going to be Battle of the Stands, Battle of the Ear to see whose music knowledge goes the deepest, Probably just be a fun little time because I think we both have some deep cuts that we can pull out. But really quickly, wrapping up the case regarding, the topic of Kim Kardashian and Stephen Thomas's family, the victim of the alleged C murder incident. Murder. Can't say C murder because that sounds crazy, but you get my point. His family, George Thomas, said that there are only people in the media like Kim Kardashian, celebrities, that are advocating for C murder's freedom. They believe that there is substantial evidence that specifically points to C murder as the gunman, and they feel that it's just his celebrity associations that are pushing people to continue to keep up this sort of fight or battle to see him freed. So we'll see what happens with that. We know that it will continue to press on. Kim does not have her law license, as we discussed, so it's not as if she is trying these cases herself, representing the people in these cases. She's just being an advocate and using her platform to spread the message. But as we see, some people take issue with it. Now, before we wrap up for the night, I know we started this the other night and we didn't get a chance to circle back to it, so I'm going to get in a couple now. We were talking about the top 50 executives in hip-hop, right? And we're going to get a couple in tonight, and then we're going to get a couple more in tomorrow, and hopefully finish up the list on Thursday. That is the plan, depending upon how the news cycle goes. But I think this is an important topic, and we're just days away from hip-hop's 50th anniversary, if you count the Black Party as the starting point of hip-hop. As we've discussed, some people count when Rapper's Delight was released in 79, actually. 79, it was even referenced on a Time magazine cover. Obviously, Time isn't the keeper of the culture, but it's just important to note that there are some discrepancies depending upon who you talk to about the birth date of hip-hop. So that is something else that we're going to get into this week. We're going to get into stories about some rappers and their favorite songs, basically what made you fall in love with hip-hop. So you guys start getting those answers ready, start thinking about it, because I'm also going to be going to you for those answers. But at any rate, getting back to this list, right, at number 47, or is this 46? We have Irv Gotti. I believe we briefly talked about this. Irv stepped in the middle of the East Coast, West Coast hip-hop rivalry in the late 90s with Ja Rule. And what were they called? Murder Inc. Why am I blanking on Murder Inc.'s name? Come on. They sort of changed up the atmosphere, We had DMX. Irv was obviously affiliated with DMX and the Rough Riders. But when he stepped through with Ja, we have been going through a whole sort of situation shift where New York hadn't really been on top in a while. We went through the G-Funk era with West Coast. We had kind of gone through the Southern explosion where we saw acts like Outkast and, production from Organized Noise taking hold of hip-hop. And here we came through with Irv Gotti, who was a DJ turned A&R exec. And he came in and helped to restore hip-hop to its roots from New York, the Big Apple, the birthplace of hip-hop. He eventually was working for Def Jam in an A&R position, and some of his signings included DMX and Ja Rule, obviously, as we mentioned. And through Ja Rule, he launched Murder Inc., which got to showcase his hit-making prowess as an executive producer, a director, an image shaper, and, of course, a drama king, because Irv had a lot of commentary back in the day. Irv also has a lot of commentary as of late, about Ashanti, and we've all heard the story about Irv being involved in a relationship and what his situation was or was not with Ashanti and where that went. So, I think that is a pretty decent place for him. Next up, we have a young lady. This is the first woman dropped on the list. It's a woman named Julie Greenwald. She's known as one of the top executives in the music industry. She began her career at Rush Management. You know, that is the management company started by Russell Simmons back in the day. And she worked closely with LL Cool J and Public Enemy before moving over to Def Jam. And in 2004, her then boss, Leor Cohen, brought her to Warner Music, where she was an A&R and had one of the most strongest and enduring partnerships in music history. She's played a major role in the careers of hip-hop superstars like Cardi B, Jack Harlow, Lil Uzi, Lizzo, and Wiz Khalifa, just to name a few. And last year, she was up to the CEO of the newly formed Atlantic Music Group. So I think that's a nice place for her. If you know a little bit about hip-hop, Julie's name pops up across some of those stories and tales, especially as it obviously relates to Def Jam. Next up, we have Ethiopia Habitarian. She was the CEO of Motown Records. Now, side note, personal thing, I love Ethiopia. Ethiopia is like best friends with one of my family members. They're very close. I've known her for a while, got to see her rise up. And I love seeing a black woman build her way up through this industry. She started her career at 14. She was an intern at LaFace Records. She moved into the publishing world and worked her way up the ranks at Universal Music Publishing. So some of the acts that she signed or worked closely with include Childish Gambino, you know, Donald Glover, Hit Boy, who produces everything, bunch of Beyonce hits, J. Cole, Justin Bieber, and Quavo, just to name a few. She was eventually named the head of urban music at that company. In 2011, she was added as a senior VP role at the legendary Motown Records, and 3 years later was named the president, becoming just one of two black female major label record heads. She revitalized the company by striking partnerships with Quality Control Music. We see where that went. We know Quality Control has now been sold, but that brought in the Migos, Lil Baby, Lil Yachty, all of those into the fold. She also worked closely with Erykah Badu. She had relationships and musical partnerships with Vince Staples. When I say relationships, I'm obviously talking professionally, but you know you got to clarify because people are sometimes committed to misunderstanding you. Anyway, with Vince Staples and Diddy, and she also stepped down from her position last December, which stunned the industry suddenly. But we know that Ethiopia will make moves, as her history has indicated, and we love to see a woman taking on this industry, taking it by the horns, and creating space and making a lane. And looking at the acts she signed, those are some of the top acts in hip-hop right now, the ones that, you know, people are always buzzing and talking about. So kudos to her. Can't wait to see what's next. So next up on the list, and this will be our last one for the night, we'll put a pin in it, is Andre Harrell. We know Andre tragically passed away in 2020, but first of all, we have to give props to Andre's musical beginnings. You know, he was one half of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You saw them in the Heavy D video back in the day. He started his career at Def Jam, later launched Uptown Records. We know he was a mentor to Diddy. That was his protege. And he set the standard for Diddy as far as the hip-hop lifestyle. So kudos, shout out to him. Really quickly, if you don't remember who he's responsible for: Mary J. Blige, Jodeci, I'll Be Sure, Guy, Heavy D and the Boys, and of course, P. Diddy. So we're going to put a pin in that. Thank you for rocking with RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Make sure you are locked in tomorrow. We will have more trending topics, more headlines. We'll have Trent the Artist. We'll have our Tubi music review. All of that and more. When we come forward, you will be checking out the best of KBLA. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you. Have an amazing evening.
Said I might stay into the murder, ill will merger, let my cash make sex with your cash. It can't hurt us. Phones ringing off the hook, pushing Bloomberg, calling me constant. Streets want to know the cause of the gossip. Nas is loading the projects to the coffins, dropping the ocean like a homicide slave over boating. It's a new day, y'all should be scared. I'm back with stout.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Welcome to a Tuesday. I'm Mike Moore.